Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the World War IIDaily Podcast. Today we hit the milestone of 20 episodes, Samuel. It is a celebration for us to be here today. And with no further ado, we have a very special guest. It's Paweł Sawicki. He works for the Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum and Memorial, and you can see he's right there right now. And we're going to have a conversation about the Holocaust, AI, and everything surrounding that. Um, Before we jump in, Pavel, thank you very much for your time, for being here with us, and especially for taking the cameras out and for putting all the equipment out there so we can see the memorial area out there, a place where I want to visit. And I recommend everybody watching this video right now to go there and see with your own eyes what happened back during World War II and before in that place. If you guys want daily World War II content and news about the show, just follow at WorldWar II_daily and Samuel.decorti. We post daily content. All the links, all the things mentioned in this episode, you're going to find right here, down here at the description of the episode. So don't worry, you can check it out later and have access to that. So right now it's time for us to give the word to our guest and jump into the episode. So, Pavel, can you briefly introduce yourself and explain us your role at the Auschwitz Memorial?
So first of all, thank you very much for the invitation and thank you for having me. I'm a deputy spokesman of the Auschwitz Memorial. I'm also one of our educators, so I guide people here at the historical site. What you see behind me is not any type of artificial background or any wallpaper. I'm actually standing here at the site of the former Auschwitz I, and we can use this technology to see that. You can see that we are standing at the Arbeitmacherei is there at the end of the kitchen building that you can see here. You can see the blocks of the camp, watchtowers of the camp. So this is the site that we preserve, which is something very important. This is the site that the survivors turned into part of the museum. Of course, another part of the museum is Birkenau, the largest part of the Auschwitz complex when we talk about the story of the camp. And the mission of the memorial is to commemorate all victims, preserve the site, and educate people about this story. And in a way, this is my job at the press office. And also, if any one of you or any viewers follow the Auschwitz Memorial on different social platforms, this will also be my responsibility. I'm responsible for our presence in social platforms.
All right. So, yeah, before we go to the next question, I encourage you all to check out the Memorial Instagram page that will be again tagged here in the description of this episode. I already follow them for a while, so highly recommend it. Samuel, you want to go on and do the next question?
So before we dive into the topic, I think it's important that we clarify that there's a difference between Holocaust distortion and Holocaust denial. And I would like to ask you, can you briefly explain the difference between these two concepts?
So, of course, this is always challenging because the difference sometimes are small, sometimes are big. But basically, Holocaust denial is the expression of anti-Semitic hatred. When someone says Jews were not murdered in gas chambers, the Holocaust didn't exist. Everything you hear about the murder of Jews, especially when it goes to the systematic murder of gas chambers, did not happen. These are Holocaust deniers who do not care about the facts, but they reject facts or they invent things. And so this is pure denial. Distortion is everything that deals with the facts, that you present facts in an incorrect way, that you say something that is not exactly true to promote one or other narrative about the story, whether you want to deal with to fight different memories. Sometimes they are competition of memories, that you distort facts. So you want to present the story in a different way than it really was, but it's not rejection of the story itself. So I think here will be, if you show the image of the camp that is not true, if you disregard a factual complexity of some things just to say something that is very superficial. So in many cases, it can lead towards denial. It can lead towards rejection. I think the distortion is an element of the strategy of denials as well, because sometimes you'll have kind of, before someone starts denying, they will be distorting history to show that, well, maybe something isn't right, maybe some sources are imprecise and so on. So the distortion may lead to denial, but denial is simply stating Jews were not murdered in gas chambers. This is the lie of the deniers.
All right, we had a little issue, Samuel. I don't know, but we're going to continue from here anyways. So yeah, we see an escalation of these issue, distortion and denial coming along. Yesterday, I was reading a post we posted about Anne Frank, and let me open here. Samuel is back. Yeah, there you go. Can you hear us, Samuel? Yeah, but anyways, we see in this post a lot of distortion and a lot of denial together, and you see that the deniers they get, how can I say, they get in contradiction amongst themselves, like with the arguments they use, and I was observing that. But anyways, let's move on from here. So we see this fake or generated AI generated images popping up a lot on Instagram and Facebook especially. So why do you think this fake or generated images are especially dangerous in Holocaust education?
Well, everything we do, whether it will be here at the Memorial or in many other institutions that are dedicated to the story, is to work with authentic stories, authentic sources, documents, sites. And of course, we must understand that there are limitations, because not all the sources survive, not all the documents, not all the names we know. But we carefully try to by preserving the sites, the documents, and everything else that we know, we used it as the base of everything that we do. It must be based in the truth. That's something that is very important. And the Holocaust is, of course, a very complicated history. The story of Auschwitz is a very complicated one camp which had many functions, many groups of victims, and its story itself is a very challenging thing to talk about. But we need to remember what is true and what is not true. And here with the AI, and we can see this phenomena starting a few months ago. It is not something very old. It's something that came up around April, May this year. We started noticing these posts on Facebook especially, is that there are people who sometimes just recreate some pictures, copying some content from our pages. But what we could see as development of this, that there are posts that completely AI generate the pictures and the stories. The stories very often are completely fake, and they are illustrated with an image, which is again completely disregarding anything that we know about the places. And you can also see that it's not only Auschwitz, but you will find such AI-generated content about many places, many camps, many different places linked with the story of the Holocaust, the ghettos and execution sites. And what we can see, which is another step in this, which is very new, we start seeing videos that are AI-generated that start showing some kind of fake reality of these stories. And this is the problem, that this is not true. This is not based on any type of research. These are emotionally, the images or stories that are supposed to work on the emotional level. And people read them and people see them. And very often, without any verification, any thinking about it, they also kind of get attached to the emotional content. They leave comments, they share them. And this is something that that starts distortion of the story, because people see and they think that they look at pictures taken at Auschwitz, while we need to know how little photographs were taken here in the camp or in any other places, that the stories that they depict, sometimes there is a little bit of truth in the story, sometimes something's added. So we have this blurred kind of some reality that people may look at as something that is real, because they are used that when people talk about the story of Auschwitz, they are based on some real authentic documents and stories, and it spreads and it creates some kind of a fake historical reality that is flooding the internet, and the algorithms get them, and then when people will start later searching for some things, this will be one of the results that we'll get, and then telling what is true, what is fake, what is distorted, what is AI, just gets lost in this. And I think this is something that is the big danger that we start to see, that we start to experience this kind of a new strange reality, how the AI, which is of course a tool that can create great things and is a tool that can be used to create some very problematic things. But in this regard, we can see how it directly impacts the memory of Auschwitz, the memory of the Holocaust, the memory of the Second World War, because it creates this distorted image that people see online.
Yeah, Samuel actually wrote a post on his website about AI, because he found a post that there's a picture of a soldier marrying a lady on during D-Day and whatever, and he checked on the story, and the story doesn't exist at all, and the picture was AI generated, and then it sprung all this conversation we're having here, and then what if people start doing that to deny the Holocaust? So, yeah, okay, so that starts to get real, like really dangerous aspect of using AI generated images, and yeah. Samuel, do you want to proceed? Can you hear me? I think he's frozen. Okay, I will continue then. Paweł, oh, sorry. Let me get the next question here. Yeah, so in the staff of the Auschwitz Memorial, did you guys already have any specific problem with the AI generated image that you guys saw, and you were like, okay, this is the real deal. It's going on. People are really distorting the Auschwitz. I think it's not only as you said, it's not only like the image, but also the story and now the videos. But did you guys encounter any specific one that you guys were like, okay, um, this is dangerous?
And it's something that we observe and we try to follow and try to collect it as some sort of evidence, because this is some kind of a trend. It doesn't involve only Auschwitz, but also other places. It seems that, well, this is kind of a thing that some either people or some companies try to use as gathering engagement, and using also the meta monetization tool in order to create content that will simply move people, and people will be responding. And so we started being very vocal about that. You can find, especially on our Facebook, that from time to time we show different cases of such distortion. Some horrifying mistakes that these AI-generated pictures sometimes take, because there are some really painful mistakes that it blends camp numbers when you have the registration photographs of prisoners of Auschwitz, and there is a metal element of the chair that kept held in the correct position for photography. One of the AI generated photographs turn it into a nail, and it looks horrifying. You can see that sometimes we have images of people. We don't have their pictures, and here we have an image, and the name is taken from some of our posts, and there's the AI that simply creates a photograph of a person that never existed, which is something that is very painful. You can find stories that are invented just because they have some kind of emotional aspect, and you have the story that couldn't have happened in Auschwitz, because we know from multiple different sources the reality of the camp. So there are, just recently we posted an AI-generated photograph of one victim that is very well known, Czesława Kwoka, a Polish girl who was murdered in Auschwitz. with a fetal heart injection. And there is the story of the original photograph that is told by a survivor who actually took the picture, Wilhelm Brasse. And he says that this girl entered into the photographic studio with her face covered in blood, with a lip that was cut with a hit of a guard. And we can see that in the photograph. We can see in her eyes that she was crying. We can see the cut lip. We can see her shaved head. And here we have the post that tells the story, but the picture is AI generated, colorful, and there are no colorful pictures. But of course, the hair isn't cut. There's no cut in the lip. The girl has makeup. And this is painful because it really touches the individual stories of individual victims. And there's something that is very disturbing when it really gets to the memory of those individual people that we want to protect. And this is not right. And while, of course, we can try to research, and there were also journalists who tried to understand why such a phenomenon is happening, there is the big question: what is the responsibility of the social platforms that are used to spread such content? What is the role of them allowing such content to be published, allowing such content to be shared? There is no possibility in reporting this, because if you report it as either a fraud or incorrect information, you get the response that it doesn't violate the platform regulations. So it poses many questions, because it is something that is very cheap to do. You write a prompt, you find a tool that will generate you the images, and you can flood the online space with distortion. And it seems that while, of course, we can be very vocal about it, you try to talk about it, we maybe try to get to some people who will try to again maybe see, and they'll be talking about this problem. I believe this is also the question of the responsibility of the platforms and the moderation, and at least marking the AI generated material so that people know it. Because one thing we can also see is how people absorb this. And we live in the world where people spend a lot of time online, but the attention span is sometimes very low. They will see a moving photograph. They will not really ask themselves a question: could this picture be made in any of the camps? Why this picture is so clear? Why those people look, the whole frame, why is it so composed? So who took the photograph? There are many red flags when we look at, sometimes, of course, you'll have 6 fingers, not 5 fingers, but the AI is getting better. But the question is that people believe that everything they see online is somehow linked with reality. And this is another side of the challenge, that we need also the tools to be able to recognize when we see this new type of distortion, that is not distortion of real sources, but it's creation of something that pretends to be a source, and in fact it's some sort of a very strange lie.
It's somehow like generating sources, right? Or creating elements that will contribute to support an idea that comes from a non-existent source, and then you have the impression that it's real. Yeah, and you said something really important, and I will take the opportunity to express my feelings towards the platforms here, because we see a lot of these distorted content or hateful content or like terrifying comments. If you check out my page, you're gonna see one of my latest posts. I made a compilation of comments that I got on my posts, especially about the Holocaust, and one of them is about Auschwitz. And you see the comments; it's terrifying. And Instagram is not doing anything to stop these people. They attack my content because I post soldiers with guns. But when these deniers and these bad intentioned people come and post their stuff and comment their stuff, they don't do anything. You report, nothing happens. So yeah, I feel that, and we are also part of these phenomena that's currently going on, and that's why we're here. That's why we got in touch with you, and we really want to bring awareness over to this issue. And with all that said, what do you think that people should do or people can do to avoid being misled or confused? How can they safeguard themselves in this historical accuracy issue? What they can do?
So there are a few things. First of all, people should be careful when they see historical posts like this. Look at the picture carefully. Try to imagine if such quality photograph could be taken 80 years ago. If you see that all the hair is exactly the same, or the figures are exactly the same, maybe there will be some things in the background that will alert you. There are some of these pictures seemingly from Auschwitz where you can see many crematorium chimneys in the background in some kind of a very I'm trying to find the right word, in a kind of very organized way. um, Try to see if people know how the uniforms of the prisoners look like, if there are proper markings. That is part. There will be many details that will be missing. Of course, there are some people, when there are some images of either liberation of the camp, and this will be Auschwitz liberated by the Soviet army, or camps in Germany that were liberated by either British or American soldiers, and many people started seeing, oh, the uniforms are not correct. There are many tiny details that the AI will not generate correctly, because, of course, why would it generate it correctly? And unfortunately, this is the process that is getting better. So there might be a situation where there will be more and more details captured, but that's one thing. That when the picture is too perfect, when the picture is too beautiful, when the composition is too great, start thinking about it. If you see the language that really is kind of emotional, poetic stories, but you don't see any names there, you just maybe have the first name. There is no date. There is no source. There are again many red flags that people can see. And of course, look at the accounts, because some of the accounts that post this, again, people look at the picture, people look at the story, but the name of the account will be sometimes completely not connected to either history or the World War II history. One of the first accounts that started publishing these pictures was 90s history. So why does the 90s history account post pictures about Auschwitz? Sometimes, people can look at the history of the accounts and look how the name of the account changed. So starting from some kind of something that used to be something about film, later something about technology, now it's posting history things. So there will be many ways we can try to be more cautious. And then, of course, please remember that there are institutions that have the credibility, that are institutions dealing with the story, whether it will be Auschwitz Memorial or other memorials that are in social platform, big museums like Holocaust Museum in Washington, Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, and some other institution here in Europe and in many other parts of the world. Please remember that there are experts and there are institutions that you can follow, and everything we post is verified based on research. And remember that there really are a lot of people that are dealing with the story. There are really a lot of institutions that are accessible, that are educating. So follow these institutions that you can see. Oh, this is the Auschwitz Memorial. You can see that we've been with the verified accounts. It's another thing, of course. So at least when you see something that looks too good, too emotional, something that you just want to click share and like and maybe write some emotional comment, think that maybe there is some new kind of manipulative way that someone wants you to do that. And just be careful and find institutions that are really working with the sources, with the history, who are experts in the story.
That's what I always recommend people to do. That's what we do here. We're always connecting with people like you, with Jenny from the Pacific Atrocities Education. We've been talking about Japanese atrocities as well. So we looked for people who are really into research and doing the correct and the right things, as we always do. And again, you guys can find the link not only to the Instagram page of the Auschwitz Memorial, but also their website and every other link connected to them. You're going to find down here at the description of the episode. So, Paweł, we are walking towards the end of this episode now, and one of our last questions is, and I think this is very important for people who are listening to this, especially after this last week we had. Um, what is your message to our listeners who may encounter AI generated or distorted Holocaust content online? Because just to put like little thing at the end of the question. I see that many of the people who are commenting or getting food of this by this, they are not the majority of the people who are watching this. So I wonder, the people who are watching and not expressing themselves, are they just believing in it and moving on, and what's going on? So what is your message to the people who encounter this kind of content online?
Um, it is difficult because on one hand, of course, the message would be if you are, because you get these images because maybe you express some interest in this history. So again, try to find institutions that educate. We are active in social platforms. We are online. We have online tours. We have the whole podcasts, online lessons. You'll get many sources of us, but there are also many other institutions. But there's also something that is important because now it's the question, how can we respond to this? And I think something that people sometimes try to do is to comment at these very posts, also writing that this is AI generated, that this is a problem. But here, that's the question, whether it is something that is feeding the algorithm. And thanks to so many people getting active and commenting or sharing this, whether it's good or not. I think something that you can do is, of course, you can write an email to, it's difficult to contact social platforms, but you can try to report this. You can try to write an email or put a picture of this, a screenshot of this in any other platforms that you have, warning people, listen, this is a problem. When you encounter this, be careful. Sharing those posts and commenting there might give them more visibility. And this is another thing that we need to find a strategy, because on one hand, the first reaction, this is a lie, this is AI generated, you want to write there a comment, be careful. But somehow these algorithms will be working against us. We want to protect the truth, and thanks to it, we'll expose it more. So again, be very careful in just sharing. But I think if you are someone who is interested in the story, who thinks that protecting of these facts is important, you can always make a screenshot, write your comment, listen, I found this post, this is problematic, there are AI generated posts, be careful. So this is how you can spread awareness that such a strange phenomena is present there online. And maybe if you want to find some kind of defense mechanism, that might be this is also what we do. We always put a red kind of a tag on the picture, fake AI generated, so that again, the picture that someone may share our comment, and then people will see that, so that it would be clearly visible that the photograph is altered, that the photograph is AI generated. So these are some small things that we can also do, maybe to build awareness. And maybe if more people will be trying to report those, despite you will get the replies that this doesn't violate the platform's regulations. But if people will be talking about this, maybe the platforms will take notice that this is the problem that they are partially responsible for. And if someone has this switch to really switch it off, it's not individual users or even individual institutions. This is the platform that have ways to really monitor this sphere better, and really find ways on a technological level to avoid visibility, to avoid such disinformation and AI-generated fake historical content to spread.
All right, cool. Again, as I said, we are walking towards the end, and yes, I feel it. We see the platforms are not doing a good job in preventing this from happening in many ways. I don't think it's only about AI. I think it goes beyond. We are living such a confusing times. Changes are on the go. But anyways, for us to finish our conversation, I would like to again thank you for dedicating your time not only to our show but the mission you share with the world. Again, this was a very tough week for us on Instagram. We were attacked because we're trying to expose this situation not only with AI but all the hate towards the Jewish community that's happening right now, and we were accused of many things. So thank you, Mr. Pavel, for your work, your dedication. I'm gonna tag your podcast here in the description, but not only here, on Instagram as well. I'm going to put the links for people to listen to it there. So everyone listening to this episode, you can check out in the description, find the at World War II II_daily or Samuel.decorti, and also the pages of the Auschwitz Memorial. And for us to move on to the end, now I would like to ask you if you have any final words, any final considerations, and the time is yours. Just feel free.
Well, so first of all, thank you very much for having me and for this invitation, and keep doing your mission, because this is an alliance, this is a network. There are people who are dedicated. So thank you very much for this. And for people who listen, this memory is important. And we think it happened 80 years ago. It was far, far away, and a long time ago. And why would we stop caring? This is our human story. This place and the story of Auschwitz, the story of Holocaust, is the human warning. We can see what may happen when ideologies of hatred spread, when political system absorb hatred as their goals. We can see what happened when a political group that has hatred on their banners take over a political ruling mechanism in different states. And this is a story that is so important. Please remember, no one is born a victim. No one is born a perpetrator. People can become perpetrators and turn others into victims because of all those dehumanizing ideologies that unfortunately are not only the story of the past. We can see them in our world today when they poison people's minds. And please remember, sometimes when we talk about the story of the Second World War, the Holocaust, we ask, what did they know about it? Did people know about it then? And why didn't they do more? Please remember, there will be days where someone else will ask the same question. Could they do more about us? And we are bystanders in the world we live in. We see those different dangerous things, whether it will be hatred online and online comments, but also many different disturbing things that are happening in the world that we live in. And maybe if we want to honor the memory of the people who were victims of such horrifying crimes like the Holocaust on Auschwitz, we should ask ourselves this question. So what can we do today to make our world a little bit better place? And I think if you ask me to give the appeal to the people who are listening to this, this is the question that I hope you may take. What can every one of us do today to really contribute to making this world just a little bit better place?
I could say something else, but I won't, because those words were just brilliant. So this is the end of our episode number 20. It was a milestone. It was a very special one. Again, thank you very much, Paweł, not only for being here again, but for all of your work. We send cheers from Brazil and from the Netherlands to all the people there in Poland, to all the staff that are working with you, the people there in the Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum. I hope that in a near future, I'll be able to visit the place and be with you to bring more of the history of this place to the world. As you said, it's the history of humanity, and it's a warning, it's a sign for our future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for listening, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Hello, thank you for coming all the way to the end of this episode. We are very happy to celebrate our 20th episode. It was a very special one with Paweł. I hope you guys learned and enjoyed. Please subscribe to our channel, like our video, and send this one to all of your friends that might be interested in World War II and the Holocaust. All the links are in the description of this episode, and I invite you to follow the Auschwitz Memorial on Instagram to support them as well. And stay safe. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.